Hi, and welcome back to Toadstool Tarot. I'm thrilled to be able to share with you today my latest acquisition from Carol Herzer. I previously had shared with you the Crystal Fire Illuminated Tarot, which came in this lovely fiery bag with suns and stars and the moon. Beautiful. Um, I took the card off the bag. There was a card affixed to it. I like the bags better without the card, although it's nice to have the card. This time, I ordered the regular Illuminated Tarot, the same size card, the medium size, which I love. It's sort of like a playing card size. And this is the bag that she sent. Oh my lord. I've never seen such a beautiful bag. This is currently my favorite bag in my collection. It is an orange satin brocade bag, and it looks like this sort of ivory colored flowers on it or plant on it. It almost looks like wheat. I don't think it is wheat, but it looks, I like to think of it as wheat. It looks like wheat. And she also sent on there a little card in fluorescent coloring, which is not the colors of this deck, but I had asked about the possibility of a hot, fiery, fluorescent deck. So she sent that. To backtrack a little bit, I've been looking for a fiery, orangey red deck to go in this bag. And so I've been ordering a number of different decks, and I also had looked through several walkthroughs, including one from the Hermit's Cave and one from Musings by Masha, of decks they had in their collection from Carol. And I ended up ordering the Crystal Fire one, which is the one Masha had, because I really liked the tones. And then I looked again at Simon's walkthrough and decided I really liked the definition on his illuminated, so I ordered that too, and that just arrived. Before I get into it, I should also show you, she also sent me these two sample cards as extras. These also look like they have been painted on with fluorescent paints, and also glitter has been added to these custom decks. And the backs, one is peach, one is purple, and they both have glitter on them. She does all these, by hand. So they're all very unique and individualized. The deck I ordered, now the one I had ordered previously had these beautiful little, I love this blue pattern on the back. And I thought that I was getting the same with the new deck. It's a similar pattern. It's not identical. It's actually a little bit different, but they're close. I thought, oh, maybe if it's the same back, I could kind of do an a la carte and pick my favorites from each deck and make them into my own new version of the deck. But they actually are a slightly different size. I don't know if you can see. The new one is just ever so slightly smaller, so they're not identical. And also, the back design isn't identical. So I can't really do that. But that's okay. I like them the way they are. I like them for their differences. I like the sort of thin, flexible cardstock. They still feel sturdy, even though they're thin. If you order any of Carol's decks, though, be prepared that they are uniquely one of a kind. They change, well, I shouldn't say one of a kind. each deck has its own unique qualities, and they're all handmade. So to some extent, they're one of a kind. They're not mass manufactured, but they do all come heavily laminated. And what I mean by heavily laminated is not like a thick, unpleasant lamination, but they're professionally laminated, but like very, very glossy. So for people that don't like glossy decks, I don't know if that might be an issue for you. I'm just telling you, be prepared. I don't mind it. In fact, I kind of enjoy it. Lately, I've not been like dealing much with glossy decks, but it has more to do with the way they shuffle or handle. These are really nice and slippery and slick and handle really well in the shuffling. So the lamination is not a barrier to that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a side-by-side of the two decks so you can see the differences. This is the little signed and dated title card for the new deck. And I think you'll notice as I show you these, there's not only a difference in the coloration, but also in the definition. Now, let's see if I should, I can turn my light up a little bit brighter. I don't know if that's going to help or hinder. Yeah, I think that's better. So you can see on the illuminated, there's a better line definition, and the colors are a little brighter. On the Crystal Fire, they're warmer, fiery tones, but the energy is diffused. Some say blurry. I wouldn't call it blurry, but if you're looking for line definition, I wouldn't choose that one probably. It's less defined. It has a more painterly quality with sort of, I don't even want to say heavier brush strokes because there are some fine brush strokes in it, but there are areas that seem sort of more blended, or I can't get around using the word blurred. It's not an accurate word, but I don't know how else to describe it. But I guess diffused is better. The colors are diffused, and some of the edges and things are not as defined. And in some instances, some of the details are, well, like right here, you can see in the rocks on the cliffs, in this one, there's more detail than in this one. So some of them, a little bit of that detail is lost. Now, there's a very distinct difference in these two. You can see the beautiful, warmer colors of the sky in this, but a lot more detail in the dress pattern and the plants and so forth. Yeah. Now here's a distinct difference in the strength card. Oh, and I've reordered these according to what I'm used to with the RWS. She has them in different sequence. And this one you see sort of massive areas of light energy and color in this one, and this one much more detail in the line work. Now in this one, unless you know the card, you might be hard-pressed to know that that's liquid water being poured from one cup to the other, whereas here you can sort of see in the lines the flow of the water. And in this one, I love how, even though it's less defined, the beard, below the beard on this devil, is what appears to be like a DNA spiral. What's the phrase I'm looking for? I think you know what I mean. Double helix. In this one, there's a lot more detail in the plants on the ground, and here it's just sort of like brown earth. In this one, there's a similar quality to the detail in the land. So I think, if you're trying to decide between these two decks, it sort of comes down to how much you care about the sharpness and definition in terms of lines, or whether you prefer something where light energy is more diffused. Because they both have their own sort of qualities of energy, but this one radiates light. But when you look at things where light is radiated, they don't come into as sharp a focus as one might be used to or prefer. You get a sharper focus in this deck. Now, here's an issue. She included 2 world cards with this deck. And so, well, there's one, and there's the other deck. Now, I can't hold all 3 at once very well, I don't think. Well, let me see, can I? Maybe I can. There, you can see quite a difference between the 3. So, on these 2, I can't really decide which one I like. I kind of like the lighter green on that wreath, and I like that lengthwise rainbow sash, but I like the brighter aura around the figure here and the sort of reddish colors of the hair and fur and feathers on the beasts in the corners. So, I'm not sure what I'm going to end up using with this deck. Here again, the detail in the background is less focused on, I should say lost, but it's just, that's not where the emphasis is. It was funny when the new one arrived, I thought, oh, I like that better. But then when I put them side by side, somehow the new one, while it has its own merits, made me appreciate this one more. So I don't know. Each one has its own qualities that I like about it, which makes it hard to kind of set one aside and use the other, only use the other one. So I think I'll just be alternating depending on my mood of the day, I guess. In this one, I like the being able to see the salamanders on the uniform here. And also this deck has more greens in it. This one's more heavily reliant on blue. And now this card was the card that made me decide to order this deck, because you can see the difference in the green and the blue and the detail. Ooh. We have a jumper. The detail in the cloak on that king's robe. And that's because the sample card that she sent me with this deck was the larger version of the Illuminated Tarot, which is what I got, but just a smaller version. You can see these are the same, it's just a size difference. Now this one, I like the green. That yellow green is a favorite of mine, that color. But in this one, it's more of a yellow green in this one. This is interesting in the sort of halo around the coin on the crown. This one, the coloring is very different. Again, more greens. And here again, detailing in the greenery and the plants in this one. So this one, well, you not only can see the details in the wardrobe and the throne, but also the little rabbit in the corner is a little sharper. And here there's much more sharpness in the details of the robe. This one, there's something in this that kind of bothers me. I love them both, but I kind of don't like that little, I don't even know what it is. There's almost like a little snowflake pattern there in the sky that is like orbs of energy or something. I don't quite know what it is, what it's about, where it's coming from. It's not in here at all, but I do love both of them in terms of the energy in the clouds. I just find that little snowflake sort of kind of confusing or distracting or something. Here there's a lot more detail in the bedding. And here, this is a really good card to compare the way the energy is handled around the swords. This one, I mean, they both have sort of like radiating energy, but this one has almost like little sharp halos of line light definition around each sword, whereas this one, they kind of, it sort of radiates energy more. Now we're on to the cups.
This one, again, there's like a funny little sort of like halo of energy around that the base of the central cup. And I like the way that the robes have this sort of fauvist or cubist kind of paint quality to them, expressionist almost even. This one I like that you can see the wrinkles and folds. So they're just both treated very differently. Now this one is one of the most pronounced different cards in the deck. In here you can see all the the buildings and details in the background, which are totally gone here. They're totally overshadowed by that light energy. So you lose some detail. So you have to weigh out the trade-off, how you feel about that. So there you have it. It's like this one is almost more like Van Gogh, and this one's more like Picasso or something. So this is the I think it's called the original Illuminated Tarot, and this is the Crystal Fire Illuminated Tarot. These decks are by Carol Herzer, and there's the difference in the backs. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it helped you in deciding. She also has numerous other variations on these decks in different color schemes and energy schemes, and check out her website. I will try to list it in the comments below, or the details below. Till next time.